when you see the documents, when you know the plantation, when you know the city, it changes you because it's no longer just about you. And you look at your family tree and all of a sudden there's like 30 people you don't know, but they're the reason you're here. So what are you carrying forward, right? It's not just you. You're carrying all of their hopes, dreams, everything. They fought, they died, they toiled in fields for me to be here. What do I get to do with that? That's a gift, right? Do I waste it or do I use it? And so I think it's just so empowering to know. And I believe you pray to the gods you believe in.
Ooh, say that again?
You pray to the gods you believe in.
You pray to the gods you believe in.
So for me, I pray to my ancestors. And now that I know their names, I pray to individual ancestors.
We are here on Since 3000. Welcome, welcome. I'm here today with Brittany Jones Cooper,
Hello.
BJC, my fellow Aquarian sister. I'm so excited to bring you in on our conversation today. So when I met Brittany, I was just so impressed and inspired by her. She is the epitome of your walking and talking vision board. So she started her journalism career when she wrote on her vision board when she was 17 that she wanted to work with Katie Couric. If you know anything about journalism, you know Katie is the pinnacle. And at the age of 21, she was interning for her in New York City. By 23, she was working directly with her. Since then, she's had an illustrious career. She's interviewed some of the biggest names. You might know some of them, John Legend, Gabrielle Union. She's currently producing a show with will.i.am. And more importantly, I just love how spiritually connected she is. So in today's conversation, you're gonna get to hear from someone who has truly created the life they see for themselves and is also in tune with her past and understands how important it is to know your past, to know where you're going. So today's conversation is gonna be so rich and fruitful. I can't wait for y'all to listen in. I hope you're ready. Welcome, Brittany.
Oh, I'm so excited
Thank you
to
for
be
being
here.
here.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to bring you today's episode, but before we do, I need to make sure you've heard about Member Up. So community-driven products are the future, but Facebook groups are a thing of the past. And after 10 plus years in the online education space, I've taken all my learnings and I've built this incredible platform, Member Up. It's a customizable, easy to use, all-in-one platform where you can build a premium course, community, or membership site without the tech headache. Gone are the days of having to duct tape together your content, your community, your payments, all on different platforms. I want you to do me a favor, do yourself a favor, and head over right now to memberup.com/Danielle. And you can get started for free today. I promise you, I can't wait for you to see this platform. It's beautiful. Okay, the design is amazing. Your community is going to feel at home here, and you are going to take pride in your online business. It is the place to start. Head over to memberup.com/Danielle. Now let's get into the episode.
When have you jumped off the stiff board into the 10 meters in your life?
I have leapt a lot. Yeah, I made an agreement with myself when I was 18 that fear was going to be a part of it, right?
What happened at 18 where you were like, fear is going to be a part of this?
Because I was in Nebraska. I was born and raised in Nebraska. And so I wanted a life much bigger, and I understood that pursuing that was going to require me to leap. And there's just so much fear. So I was like, fear is always going to be there. And at 18, I had the wherewithal to think fear can stop me or it can propel me. And I just decided that I was going to let it propel me, you know? And so I just started leaping into things that excited me. So the first time I really exercised that was probably at 23 when I moved to New York City. And I graduated, it was a recession, there wasn't a lot of opportunity. I was like, I just gotta be in New York. So I found this job mentoring kids in the Bronx city year. I just found a way to get here. But I had $1,500 and $800 of it was already promised to my apartment.
Oh my gosh.
And my mom was terrified, but was not discouraging at all, you know, because she's always been really supportive. And I just leapt. And it was probably the biggest, scariest thing I've ever done. And now I've been here for 13 years, and I can see that it's paid off. But certainly, it's been an up and down journey, as it always is, especially in New York, right? New York challenges you more than any place.
Absolutely. I love in Eat, Pray, Love how she has a word for each city.
Yeah.
The energy of each city. So when you thought about New York, what was that word that encapsulated New York for you?
Abusive boyfriend.
Oh, tell me about that.
New York beats me because it loves me.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
New York's gonna make you strong, and at some point you have Stockholm syndrome because you're like, I should leave here. Everything is so hard.
What is Stockholm syndrome?
It's where you love your captor and you're like, no, I'm happy here. And it's like, no, you're getting beat up every day. You should leave. But in that, you learn so much about yourself, and it pushes you and it challenges you. So really, the word for New York is evolution. You can't come here and be the same person you were. And most people come here because they don't want to be the same person that they were, right? So that was my case. I didn't know really who I was before I moved to New York. I think in Nebraska, you're just in this Midwestern culture where you're just going along with. It's a very white culture. I'm just trying to fit in. I'm navigating a lot. I'm surviving a lot. I'm not figuring out who I am. So New York was just that first opportunity to do that, which can be scary.
Yes. So when you figured out who you were at first, who were you? Who was Brittany at first in New York?
The job.
So what was the job?
I was the job. I was Katie Couric's assistant at the CBS Evening News.
Katie Couric.
Yeah.
She's like
She, for me, is our top female journalist ever. I think she's just incredibly versatile and one of the smartest people, easily the smartest person in any room. So yeah, it was this really high platform. CBS Evening News, Katie Couric. I was her second assistant. After a year, I became her first assistant. And just walked her through wrapping up her time there, releasing a book. It was such a high level of performance. And it scared me. I mean, 6 months into that job and 6 months into New York, I put myself in therapy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so therapy is later to me in my life, only in the past 3 years. Yeah. Where was therapy introduced to you, and where were you like, oh, got it, this is for me? Yeah. When did you even get introduced to therapy?
First of all, good for you for going to therapy.
Yes.
I would like to applaud that because
shout out to, yes,
we all need to go,
huge.
and encouragement is important.
I think just like we have personal trainers, or if we just go to the gym on our own, I'm like, therapy, the therapist is for our spirit, mind, body, spirit, everything.
Yeah, just the same way you exercise your muscles, right? I went to therapy because I was really struggling. I was really falling apart. I started having panic attacks because I was working in this media world that was very fast paced. Mind you, I'm 23 from Nebraska.
Wow.
Okay, and I'm working
It's
now
a huge paradigm shift.
in one of the biggest CBS Evening News with Katie Couric, right? So there was a lot of adjusting, and I wasn't kind to myself yet. So I wasn't taking time to have self-care and to make sure that I was taking care of myself. I was just working. And 6 months in, it started to catch up with me. So I sort of had this moment where, and there's been some mental health issues in my family, so I've always been kind of afraid of that and aware of that. And when I started having the panic attacks, I thought, well, I guess I gotta move home. But before I do that, let me go to therapy.
Let me give myself a chance.
Yeah.
And so when you say panic attacks, can you describe what would happen to you? How did you know you were having a panic attack?
Heart racing, dry mouth, and when your mind is just stuck on you being the worst, I just wasn't enough. I didn't feel like I was enough. I started having panic attacks trying to get dressed in the morning because I was young, I was Black, I was poor, and I was going into an office where everybody had money and everybody was white and everybody went to an Ivy League school. And I can fake the confidence all day, but getting dressed in the morning became an obstacle because I was gearing up to go into that space where I didn't feel like I was enough. So going to therapy, all she did was give me permission to ask for help and to let people know that I was struggling. Because I thought, I moved to Nebraska, I did this big thing, I leapt off this cliff, I've got to do it, And she was like, no, you don't. It sounds like you have friends and family that want to support you. You should talk to them. You should let them know that you're not this iron. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And it's just my life opened up. So I think it's beautiful to go to therapy at any age. I love that I went at 23 because I got these tools to navigate my 20s where I could actually be engaged in my growth instead of just things happening to me all the time, I started actually participating and trying to see what was happening, you know, that awareness that we've talked about, you and I, like, that started to kick in after therapy.
Wow.
Yeah.
One thing that fascinates me a lot is this concept of time travel and being able to like collapse time. And the way I think about it is embodying your past, present, and future self now. And so I'm curious, when has there been a time when you have collapsed time, whether it's in your personal or professional life?
And embody just everything.
Yes,
at the
and
same
maybe
time.
something that would take most people 10 years, you did in 1 year. Or some people it would take a lifetime, you did it in 3 months.
It's hard. I always go back to work.
That's that's your, so when people say work, and I remember there was a time when I was like criticized that, oh, I work too much. And I was able to recognize that my work, it's not for everyone, but my work is just an extension of me.
Absolutely.
It is my self-expression. So there's no such thing for me as like working too much or like work being a thing where I'm like, I can't reference that as an example.
Yeah.
So I told, my impression of you is it's the same for you. Like your work has been an expression of your gifts. It's your way to share your gifts with the world. So
And that's how I feel.
Totally, yes, we have space
it's
for that here.
Such a part of me. So when I got, you know, I've always wanted my own talk show. I grew up watching Oprah.
Oh my gosh.
She is my North Star.
Did you watch, I used to watch 3 p.m. on, I think it was like Channel 7 ABC, her show, but did you watch it every day?
Every day after school.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like I still seek knowledge all the time. I study for fun.
Yes.
So I just loved everything she exposed me to, and the creating a safe space for conversation, which is something that I'm caring for and want to continue to do. So I think a moment when I sort of collapsed time and everything sort of fell in line and I could just feel in that, I call it my frequency, was when I started my job at Build Series. And it's a long form interview series, and I was doing 1 to 3 of these live interviews a day.
Whoa.
Live interviews, 30 to 45 minutes with a live studio audience.
Wow.
And the guests, you know, we were on press tour, so we were getting huge guests. I interviewed, you know, John Legend and Gabrielle Union and Queen Latifah and, you know, Kate Blanchett. It was phenomenal. And in that, I was so excited for the job, but it's not like you can be bad at it. You know, it's like everything's live. So I had to get good really quick, really, really quickly. And there just seemed to be this frequency I was in where I did maybe 5, and I looked at them and I was like, these are trash, because I was acting. I was very aware that I was on camera, and I was very aware of what I was doing, and I was trying to be too protective. And I was like, you know what? Just be who you are, be who you want to be, just be you. And the moment I locked into that, and I let my goofy side, I mean, you've seen, I can be a little nerdy and like use voices and be a little like dad jokey. And when I started letting that stuff out, everything lined up. And I realized, I was like, oh, this is little Brittany. This is where I'm at now. And this is the woman I'm becoming. And I'm literally, it's all happening at the same time. And I was growing in that job, interview to interview. It was like each time it was getting better. I was learning something. I stopped watching them, and I was just living it. I still haven't watched 98% of my interviews, because that's not what it's about. It was about being in the moment, locking into the guest, creating this safe space, and fulfilling a dream, but also like starting a dream. You know, it was everything at the same time. It was like a springboard, but it was also like the culmination of all the studying I've done, broadcasting school, the jobs I've had up to that point, you know? But then it was also setting the tone for the show that I want to have. So that might be like the best example where I felt like everything was, I don't know, in line, in the same frequency. Is that kind of what you meant? Like,
Yes, absolutely.
I'm curious, what was your moment?
When I think of my collapsing time moment, it is when I came into building my course business and didn't have expectations on how much I would make. It was essentially, I love doing this, let me keep doing this. And then got into it, and I guess it was like what I was able to generate. So like the 20 million in 4 years. But I look at my process during that time, and I think it was what I think about with like AI, how we know it, stands for artificial intelligence. And the way I define it is like optimal efficiency. Artificial intelligence is when we have reached that point with machines of optimal efficiency, just working in harmony. And when I relate that to humans, what is our AI? Optimal efficiency operating It's when we are in alignment, mind, body, spirit, and our intentions match that. So that's like alignment, intentions is like our AI. So I think the period of my life where I was in that was when I did Landmark, and did you do Landmark? I forget. Okay. And my big takeaway from that was the power of keeping my word to myself. Yes. And I really, honestly, like people would say, you speak it into existence, and that was just like a cliche. It was never something I thought much about. And I never realized like you can create anything with your word. So after Landmark is when I said, okay, I'm going to, I got involved with these coaches, and they had grown their business to $1 million in 6 months, and it was a brand new business. So I worked with them, I did the things, and I added this layer of I'm going to keep my word to myself. And I said I was going to do a weekly webinar. That for most people is probably like, oh yeah, there's no big, do the same thing every week. But I had never done the same thing every week. I mean, I don't brush my teeth every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can you expect me
say
to
that
like
on the mic, Danny? Don't tell people that.
I'm getting better. I flossed the last 2 nights in a row.
Wow.
So we're making moves. Like, we're getting older. We're caring about our teeth. We're like,
Evolution.
we're aging. You know what I'm saying? And it feels good. I'm like,
What does your dentist
Oh my
say?
gosh. I mean, when I was younger, I had flying, like great reviews from the dentist. It'd be like no cavities. I was like, I'm an A+ student in every aspect of my life, even when I go to the dentist. But then as an adult, I kind of fell off. Yeah. So the brushing the teeth, not every
Working on it.
Exactly. Flossing, So this weekly webinar was a stretch for me, but I did it. And I did it for every single week. And the next year, in 6 months, I generated $1 million. And so what I learned is like, okay, when we are in alignment, we make the decision, we drop in, and every morning we're like getting clear on our intentions, and we're reconnecting to our purpose and everything. That was it for me.
It's a choice, and that what I hear is discipline. Yes. I'm like you, we're both Aquariuses.
I have a funny relationship with that word, discipline, right?
I do too. I hate it.
Not like it. Exactly.
No.
Aquarius.
I'm like, you want to do the same thing every day for who?
Exactly.
Who's that benefiting?
I'm like, my
not
number
me?
one value was freedom. Where is the freedom? But then I
Autonomy.
learned there is freedom with discipline.
I don't have freedom without discipline.
Yes.
Right?
So what does that mean for you?
For me, health. I had some health struggles that floored me and made me wake up and pay attention and realize how important self-care was. So for me, working out is not an option. It is a necessary part to my success. I'm gluten-free, dairy-free, I eat clean. It is a necessary part to my success and my mental health. Your gut and your mind are connected, right? So if you're all stressed and you're eating like crap, like I get depleted so fast. So the discipline of eating right, working out, waking up, journaling, meditating, when I do that consistently, you can't tell me anything. I'm so locked in. My confidence is not something I have to think about. It just oozes. But when I fall off of that, start falling into bad habits, it just starts falling apart. And then my confidence starts spiraling. My anxiety starts rising. I start questioning more. So when I started realizing that discipline was actually the secret, it was like my cheat code, And once I kind of cracked that, it helped tremendously. So I don't have like a consistent life necessarily, but in my routine, I realized that discipline is important. But yeah, I'm still like, I don't plan things more than like a week or two in advance. And I'm a spontaneous trip taker, and my work schedule, sometimes in the middle of the day, I'll go to pottery for 3 hours,
I love it.
and then come back and work at night. Because that's what I wanted to do that day. And I love that I have that freedom. So I'm with you.
Yes.
So important.
And so tell me about pottery, because it sounds like I know that was like an addition to your life. I think like during COVID, post-COVID. So what role is that playing in your life?
It got re-energized during COVID. I grew up in school. They offered like once a semester you could take a pottery class. So I did that growing up, and I loved it. My mom still has my pottery up in her kitchen.
Oh,
It's all so bad. But I love that she's held on to it because I can chart my evolution with pottery, which is great. But for me, it was during the pandemic, my job got taken away from me. That job that I just told you that I loved so much went away because there was no longer live audiences or live shows. And with that, like, I really honestly wasn't working because they were just like, we don't really have anything for you to do. So I had to fill my time with something, and I started doing pottery once a week on the Upper West Side with a bunch of older white ladies.
Yes.
And for me, it's meditation, and for me, it's therapy. So when I'm in there creating, I put on my music, and I'm literally creating something from mud And it is deeply meditative. I don't think about anything else. I don't think about the weight of the world. I don't think about the things I want to accomplish or haven't accomplished. I am making a bowl.
I love that.
You know what I mean? And it's a good bowl. And I'm going to try to get the walls thin and give it the best I can. And the thing about pottery is it's impossible to be perfect. In pottery, it's beautiful. Like, you can make this dope bowl and you're like, I did it perfectly. And then you glaze it and you mess it up and you're like, I dipped it wrong and it's gonna come out weird. And then you get it out of the kiln. It's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. And you're like, that was a complete accident. I have women at pottery all the time. They're like, how did you glaze that? What did you do? And I was like, I don't remember. It just happened. And it teaches you to surrender. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you focus. I mean, you've got to get your hands in something is my philosophy. I think we have idle hands and that causes a lot of problems. So for me, it has been therapeutic. And I think certainly during the pandemic, it saved me in a lot of ways. It just gave me a place to go and a place to create and just be myself and like eat wabi-sabi, you know?
Yes! And I feel like it's perfect because it came from you.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm hearing and seeing.
I'm gonna show up here with a bowl next time.
Oh my gosh! Maybe here's the spinning. It's like in Ghost.
Yes.
When he puts the hands around.
When I find a boyfriend.
First, you're gonna tell him, wherever you go, I will follow.
I will follow,
and then
I'll make
follow
you a bowl.
me to this pottery bowl. Put your hands around mine.
Ooh, Patrick Swayze, rest in peace. I love Patrick Swayze. That was a man. I'm just saying.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Patrick Swayze was your jam?
He was everybody's jam.
Okay.
Back in the 80s.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just saying he had a moment, and I just want to give him
He
credit for that moment.
I love it. I love the recognition for the moment.
Yeah, but I think you have to find different ways to express yourself. It was really easy to put it into work. That came naturally. That's what I wanted when work was taken off the table. And this is where I think therapy at 23 helped me, is because I realized I wasn't the job. I thought I was the job. I wasn't the job. There was so much more to me. I'm an artist. I can make pottery. I taught myself how to play the bass guitar.
That's right.
Yeah, I was like more involved with my family. I'm an auntie, and like it's a very important role for me to be an aunt. So just like engaging deeper in these other parts of myself that maybe I hadn't fully paid enough attention to was the gift of the pandemic for me. So yeah, I think it's like I love my job. My job is a part of me, but I am not the job anymore. And that's been a big growth moment, I think.
I love that. I went through that decoupling of my identity from my work job and myself, because whatever the work goal was also me. And so if I missed the goal, then I felt less than. And that was a huge learning moment for me. Was the decoupling. It was after my relationship ended. Because then I decoupled from a person who I was referencing for 7 years as who am I not, in reference to this person, and then same with my job. And so when that decoupling happened, then I was like, I need some space on my own. And so I think I was almost like, forced to, it just happened naturally to decouple from my job as well, because I said, okay, I need to travel, figure out who I am. But that was such a beautiful process, because it was no longer like, who is Danielle Leslie, the brand, in relationship to her business? But it was like, no, just like, who am I? Who is Danny? Who am I?
So who is Danny?
What is my spirit animal? They were giraffes, and maybe they are now again.
Why a giraffe?
So when I think of giraffes, they are elegant, elevated, they are high, they have that aerial view. They're not in the weeds of things, but they are always like zoomed out. And the altitude up there, there's less noise, and it's like there's this peace. And it's like every step they take, they may take one step, but it's a huge step because of how elevated they are. Whereas those closer to the ground may need 20 steps to take that one step. And I think it lends to, like Deepak Chopra talks about the gap. And Dr. Joe, I feel like, talks about it as the space between. But the gap is that moment of silence. It's stillness. And there's so much, I think we don't give stillness the credit. And we don't realize there's so much activity, growth in the stillness. So when you think about a giraffe, in that one step, there is so much growth from that elevated state.
That's powerful too. I mean, I've been on safari and seen them, so everything you're saying is really resonating. Like watching a giraffe walk through the Masai Mara is like this majestic, beautiful. Yeah. Wow. You really like. Okay, giraffe.
Okay, giraffe energy. Giraffe energy.
You really
What
got me
about
heard
you?
that.
Do you have a spirit animal?
I'd have to say maybe an elephant. Elephants are wise, intelligent, knowledgeable. Wisdom's very important to me in my life. They are strong, powerful, and family-oriented. They really prioritize community. Again, I've gone on safari and seen them in community, and I come from this really big family, and we were in Nebraska, and we were like the only Black family in Nebraska. It was like my family and Gabrielle Union's family. You know what I mean? Like basically.
Yeah.
So family is like such a grounding, important thing for me, and I think elephants really embody that so beautifully with how they take care of each other. And they're so strong and so intimidating and so gentle at the same time. And I think that describes me a little bit. So yeah, probably an elephant.
I love
Pretty
that.
dope.
Yes. Ooh. You said family a few times, like as an aunt, like family, it sounds like is becoming more part of like your identity and like what season you're in. And it made me think of a question that my best friend Crystal asked me, which was like, you know, what season are you in? I found myself I was like taking on all these new projects because that's my default. I'm like, oh, let's do more. And like, oh my God, we're going to achieve this. I started feeling a little off balance. And she said, like, just pause and, you know, what season would you say you're in? And it's interesting because family is a big part of, I think, the season I'm entering. And I'm like calling in family, like creating my own family, also having my friends become my family, getting closer with my family. So I'm curious, like, what season are you in right now?
I like that you say calling in. I call it creating space for. Because when you're single in New York, you're in this mentality, and there is this, I think you have to change your mindset. So family is so important to me, like I said, and I do want my own family one day, but I realize I have to start creating space for that. And part of creating space is maybe doing a little less work and investing more into my friends and family and investing more in that nurturing, loving side that I haven't fully embodied because I was in this really ambitious phase. So I think I'm more sensitive now. I'm much more gentle, much more vulnerable. I think art does that. I think art helps you get in touch with that, into your heart. I think I functioned with my mind just fully before, and now I'm trying to lead with empathy in my heart more, and that's shifted how I move in the world. So my season is similar to yours. I think I want to be creating space for a family of my own. And if that doesn't happen, I have 17 nieces and nephews.
Oh my gosh, you really do have a big family.
Yeah, I have 9 siblings.
Wow.
And, you know, for my family living in Nebraska, my nieces are biracial. I'm their only Black aunt. And it is an important role. When I come home, they immediately react to me. They love having me in their lives. They want me to do their hair. So like if I don't have my own, I can invest and grow in that and create space for that. So I think I'm just, hopefully just a more gentle person now. I just feel more nurturing and embracing that and not seeing it as like a weakness. Whereas maybe before I would have.
Which is such a divine feminine characteristic.
Exactly.
Is the nurturing.
Yeah, you suggested I read that book, and it.
Oh yeah,
The Way of the Superior Man, and it really did just help me put a name to a lot of the things I was already experiencing, or this new season that I'm heading into. It's like, oh yeah, art, beauty, music. I've been throwing myself into that. That's changed me in like an organic level, and I'm a different person now. And I approach my family and my loved ones differently, more nurturing, more. It's a beautiful place. It makes me very happy.
Yeah. And I love that nurturing is a word I think you used to describe the elephant.
Yeah.
So it's like you are truly, when you were talking, I was like, ooh, I saw Brittany as the elephant.
Yeah.
And right now, so you have this amazing career that you've wielded for yourself, been an example for so many, like upcoming generations, people who are wanting to do journalism, wanting to do storytelling, wanting to like connect with people on a deep level. And I love that you said you're calling in also this element of family. And it's related to, most recently, you've gotten really interested in like researching your ancestry, which was so fascinating to me. So I haven't even done ancestry.com.
I know.
But that's not even like, that's like barely the tip. Like,
Well, when you are ready to do
going
yours,
deep.
I will walk alongside you.
I
think
love
it's so
it.
fascinating to even go with people on that journey.
So I love when we spoke about it, you came over and you were here for like 4 hours and we did the hookah, we watched Drunken History, Cleopatra.
We ate cake for our birthdays.
We celebrated our birthdays. We're both Aquarius. You brought the cake.
Yes.
Thank you. It was delicious.
Gluten-free.
You shared, I love how you shared and just reminded me of the importance of knowing where you came from and how that impacts where you're going. And it's been a reminder for you that this is actually helping you like propel you forward to your future, and it's showing that connection of past, present, future. So I'm curious, what kind of research are you doing, and like what have the learnings been?
Yeah, it's such a powerful experience, Danny. Like, I can't wait for you to, when you have the time and you're ready for it, because you kind of have to be ready for it. My mom started the genealogy stuff, so she passed down a lot of information to me. And I just started picking family lines, and I did Ancestry and just sort of digging into it. And I think, when you see your ancestors' names on a slave registry,
Wow.
when you see the names of the people who owned them.
Because you saw the physical, like you saw the documents.
Yeah.
Online, or you went to the library,
Yeah,
right?
there's like a National
the old school
Archives.
library. And you were like, would you just sit at the machine and you like
Yeah.
flip through?
No, I did not
Oh,
do
you
that.
didn't? Because I just remember going to the library like when I was in
It's all
elementary
digital
school.
now, thank
okay,
God,
okay.
thank God. Though I would have been up in a library because I told you I like to study stuff.
Yes,
So,
okay.
but no, everything I was like in my living room just typing away. When you see the documents, when you know the plantation, when you know the city, it changes you because it's no longer just about you. And you look at your family tree and all of a sudden there's like 30 people you don't know, but they're the reason you're here. So what are you carrying forward, right? It's not just you. You're carrying all of their hopes, dreams, everything. They fought, they died, they toiled in fields for me to be here. What do I get to do with that? That's a gift, right? Do I waste it or do I use it? And so I think it's just so empowering to know. And I believe you pray to the gods you believe in.
Ooh, say that again?
You pray to the gods you believe in.
You pray to the gods
Yeah.
you believe in.
So for me, I pray to my ancestors. And now that I know their names, I pray to individual ancestors.
What are some of their names?
We've got Nettie and Ari. We've got London and Rachel. Eva was a boss. My
Tell me about
grandfather,
Eva.
my grandfather's mother. I mean, this is rural Savannah, and she was just a boss. She maybe didn't always participate in legal activities, but she was running things and taking care of her family, and she's just like this fierce warrior woman. And so, if I need to channel some strength, I'm like, Eva, help me out, because I know that I maybe got that from her.
Wow.
So that, to me, it just helps me, empower myself, and I pray to them. So that's been a cool thing. Also, I have some ancestors who were Geechee Gullah, which is this community in South Carolina and Georgia. And essentially, there's music, food, culture. There's a whole culture that I've descended from that I didn't know about. And so it's like we've been cut off from so many things that inform who we are. Some of the food and music I already love. And I'm like, oh, that's Geechee, I didn't know. But it's in me already. So just like getting that knowledge makes you feel less confused sometimes. You're like, I am who I am, and it's like all these things have informed it. So I feel incredibly empowered, and it feels important for me to carry it forward. What that looks like, I'm still figuring it out. But it's not just about me. I've got a legacy to protect. They got me this far, so I've got to do my part to carry it forward. And I think for so many Black Americans, that's been stripped away from us. And they always talk about African Americans are this lost race. Well, no longer. We've got Ancestry.com, so go find yourself, right? Don't let anybody else tell you who you are. You can now go find out and do some work. It's all in the National Archives. It's great.
Shout out to the National Archives.
Shout out to the National Archives. On my Jones side, I discovered a Cherokee descendant, and that's how I realized I got names from the National Archives. They named her. Her mother's name was Mahala, which is a Cherokee name. It's just been so enlightening, you know? So I just encourage people to do it. Like I said, when you're ready to do it, I'll do it with you. I think it's fun.
If you are a creative entrepreneur and your business is unique, why are you working with a generic accountant? One of the best decisions I made was who I would partner with on my taxes and my accounting. So if you're a creative entrepreneur, you are growing your business, you're scaling your business, I want to introduce you to Revel. Revel is a firm that can help you whether you're looking to prepare your taxes or you're looking for that year-round support. They will tell you what's happening in your business and why. So if you're tired of being ignored, talked down to, or feeling like you are chasing around your accountant and needing to drive the relationship yourself, it's time for a change. Head over to revelcpa.com, revelcpa.com. Head on over, fill out their interest form, and make sure you look into working with them. Again, that is revelcpa.com, revelcpa.com. We all deserve the right firm to partner with. It's been proven that procrastination can be one of our biggest enemies to success. Now, contrary to belief, procrastination is not based on a lack of time management or organizational skills. Procrastination is directly linked to our emotions. Now, the reason I know this is because of Patty Johnston. Patty Johnston is incredible. She's a Course from Scratch member, but even more importantly, she's built multiple multi-million-dollar businesses once she learned how to overcome procrastination. So she's created a program where she shares her system on how to overcome procrastination, and it's based on emotional intelligence, neuroscience, and accountability. She's gonna show you step-by-step how to overcome negative feelings so you can start taking action and start seeing a difference from day one. So text this number right now to schedule an appointment with Patty and her team to see if this is right for you and what steps for you to take to overcome your procrastination. 813-789-1097. And again, the number to text right now is 813-789-1097. Let's all overcome procrastination together. Now let's get back to the episode.
So I love how you are calling out this connection to your past and how sometimes we get cut off from that connection. And what I also heard in that and saw in that is this disconnection from also ourselves and our inner authority. Because for those of us who aren't able to find the archives, I think that, as you mentioned, you're like, I have this affinity for this food and I didn't know why. We have an affinity for certain things, and we don't necessarily need to explain it. It's just to trust, oh, that's probably our ancestors.
Pura Vida. You told me that.
Yes!
When we were talking about this.
Right here.
Yes.
Pura Vida. Yes, the tattoo. Yeah, when I went to Costa Rica, and we went and we were enjoying her birthday and everything, and then we're outside and I was like, what if we got tattoos? And then everyone was like, all right. And so Dominique, in like 2 hours, had the tattoo artist at the house. And they were like, they're ready for you. And I was like, oh, we're doing this. Okay. And then I was like, where should I get it? Okay, under the boob. So we're like, okay, let's get Pura Vida, because that is the saying in Costa Rica. And it's just like, just live a good life. Right. And I come back home and I'm starting to doubt myself. And I'm like, why did I get this tattoo? And why did I get it right under my boob? And I should have gotten it like under the flap so you can't see it, but you can see it. And I was sharing actually with my mom and my sister. And we were right here in the kitchen, and I was telling them about it, and I was like, you guys, I got this tattoo, I don't know. And then my mom goes, oh, what part of Costa Rica were you in? And I was like, oh, shoot, I don't remember, but I'll look it up. And she's like, oh, well, you know, your nana is from Costa Rica. And I was like, oh my gosh, like my grandmother is from Costa Rica. And I was like, so that's why I was called to get this tattoo. Yeah.
It's not an accident.
It's in my ancestry. Like, it's in my blood.
Yes.
Like,
you were in your
couldn't
home
explain
country
it.
and your ancestors were like, girl,
get this. Like, this your first time
you're
here. Get it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
That's powerful,
yes.
right? And now has it changed your relationship with this tattoo?
Absolutely. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it just empowers you. You know, I think your soul is, you know, that's a whole different conversation. Your soul is its own thing that travels through time.
Many lifetimes.
Whenever
I'm like, they're like, I'm like, you only have one life. And I'm like, well, in this lifetime.
In this life. Yeah.
You got more.
I've got
more
lives.
lifetimes.
But the personality I'm embodying now, my ancestors are important for this soul's journey. And that's what I've discovered in this search, right? I have a lot of things coming at me. I don't quite know what they mean yet, but you can feel it in your gut when it feels important for you to do some work or to learn something or to read something. So I think doing that ancestry work will no doubt inform the work that I do going forward, and is part of my purpose in some way. It couldn't feel that powerful without being more important, you know?
Yes. And when I think of DNA, to me, it stands for Divine North Awareness. When you know that what's in your DNA actually informs your divinity and your North Star, and when you have that awareness, it's like, where is there room to doubt that whatever track you're on, as long as you're moving with your heart, your gut, your feeling, your body, calling on your ancestors, asking them for guidance, that's your divine North awareness. It's in your DNA.
Oh, I love that.
You live with it every day.
And that intuition, I do think, is in my DNA. I've talked about this with you. Like, I feel like there's this really deep spiritual thread in the women in my family. And, you know, my grandmother passed in 2019, and I was putting together her obituary. And, you know, luckily my cousin had interviewed her on camera. And oral history is so important, guys. Please interview your grandparents. I just want to take a little PSA break.
Love that.
Please interview your parents and your grandparents and get their story. Oral
Do a
history.
PSA. Act like you're doing a commercial right there.
It's so important to know your family. No, just joking. But like, no, for real,
really?
it's just so
Yeah,
important.
interview.
Your ancestors. Oral history is the most important tool we have. So I was lucky that my cousin did that. And in that, my grandmother was talking about her grandmother, who had this deep intuition and sort of knew things. And I think in Black and Latino cultures, that knowing, that mysticism is like super prominent. So for me, when I have these like intuition moments and I'm like, am I a psychic? And me realizing, oh, I'm not the only one. This has been in my family, right? That's empowering. This isn't some weird thing about me. This might be my superpower, right? I don't need to be afraid of this. Maybe I should lean into this.
Practice it.
Nurture it, you know? So yeah, that DNA is just sort of like, oh, there's a little thing. You're like, okay, cool. I don't think you should ever change who you are based on your ancestry. You know, like if you realize,
That ain't for me.
you know, if you realize you're Swedish, like you don't have to start dressing it. Like that's too deep. But like, I think you can learn things.
It can inform.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that speaks to how a lot of times we can look externally, whether it is on the feed, on IG, and we're looking there for the role models or like, oh, what should I do next or how, when it's like we actually have the answers here. And I think before social media, before we had this global economy, which there's so many benefits to it, and before that, we had the oral tradition where we would literally sit around every evening in a circle and the elders would share, here are the lessons, here are the learnings, and we would take what worked for us, what resonated, and then leave the rest. And so what you're speaking to is this ability where if we ever feel like we don't know what the next step is, or if we're logging on every day and finding ourselves like, oh, I'm not enough, or I can't do that, or I can't do, it may be that we need to look internally in our ancestry and talk to those who came before us.
It's so
and
true.
decipher, you know, what is for us. It's been so amazing being an adult and spending time with my mom because I am learning so much about myself through finally getting to know her. Because when you're a kid, we're so self-absorbed. We're like, the world revolves around me, like I'm the star. And
Also, parents are stressed.
yes, exactly.
It's hard.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You don't know who they are when they're your active parent because they're
Right.
just trying to do the best they can.
Yes.
You know?
So it's like as an adult being able to be like, all right, let's sit on the couch, which we literally did earlier, and let's talk and like tell me who you are. And even more, I just observe who she is and it informs so much of who I am. And that actually gives me power to like make more decisions or just feel great about the decisions I'm making.
I've connected more deeply with both of my parents. Me and my mom have always been close and we have more talks. I've sort of now let my dad give me more advice. But it's funny how I am just both of them. And you know, that creative part that I have, that's how I process and get through stress. And my mom does the same thing and she modeled that for me, right? And then my dad has had like such an ambitious career and done all these things, but there's those highs and lows. So I was talking to him about how you survive those lows. And he was just giving me, I mean, my father's 87, he's considerably older. So it's just wisdom. And you're like, what an untapped source I have not been using. Why haven't I been asking him this stuff sooner? Wow. You know, and it's like, yeah, look to your family, look to your ancestry, explore that oral history. There are lessons there. That's important. That's why you are part of a tribe.
Ooh,
you know?
yes.
That's not for no reason. And and I think on the soul tip, that's why maybe I was born into this tribe to learn what I needed to learn from them. So don't let that opportunity pass you.
Totally.
And when you lose your grandparents, they're gone. You know? So it's important.
So we're going to cheers to one word. What is one word you want to cheers to?
Friendship.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
that.
this is a new friendship, and it's just been really fun, like getting to know you. So,
Oh, I love that. Okay, cheers to friendship.
Cheers.
Yay. Oh.
I told you I'm all mushy now.
I know, that made my heart warm. I know, I didn't used to be mushy either.
Yeah.
I feel like we both,
I'm so
Yeah.
mushy. I cry now at commercials
God.
sometimes.
Look at
Like
you.
P&G commercials are like very emotional. It's beautiful.
About our future, about what's next. What do you see? Who is Brittany? What's happening? What's the future?
Well, the future is bright for Brittany because she has a show called Brittany.
Oh, and the third, we're talking about
She
third
becomes
person.
a
We're talking
one
third
name
person.
person
She becomes the Brittany.
like Oprah.
Brittany bitch, but
Brittany
the
bitch.
new.
Brittany.
The new.
The
Just
new
Brittany.
new.
Brittany.
Spelled correctly, Brittany, for those curious. So the future Brittany has this show called Brittany, and it is an instant hit because, you know, it's been a tumultuous decade for this country. There's a lot of healing that needs to be done on a lot of different levels, and future Brittany is able to create a safe space for those conversations. So no matter who you are, you can come judgment-free, and we can dig in and we can unpack and we can heal collectively. We don't always agree, but we respect, right? That's what I think we all are drawn to. So the show's a hit. And Brittany, you know, has several vacation homes. It's crazy.
Where are they?
Oh, you know.
Because future Danielle is visiting future Brittany in these future homes. So where are they?
And I can visit your future homes
Oh,
as well.
absolutely.
Duh.
Hello.
She's got one in South Africa. She loves the wine country there.
Oh, got it. Wine country.
Yes.
Okay. Wait, is that closer to Cape Town, Joburg?
Cape Town.
Okay.
Yeah, more
got
Cape
it.
Town.
Ooh, beautiful.
Stellenbosch. Really beautiful.
Okay.
Mountains. You know, we like mountains.
We do like mountains.
Yes.
Our human design is
Exactly.
mountains.
So
Okay.
that's there. And then we've got the beachy destination. We'll keep it with Jamaica.
I like it. You know that's where my dad is from, right?
I do.
Ooh.
And I think cannabis can be a beautiful healing tool. And
There
I like
we
it
go.
fresh. I like it without all the chemicals and the hybrids. I just want some green out the earth. And so I've got a home there.
As it should be.
Yeah, as it should be.
Okay.
So yeah, that's future
Ooh.
Brittany. It's
I
all
like
about collaboration and connecting.
I love that. So I'm gonna have one in London and one in Paris. I like dense cities.
Yeah.
I like the essentially like a change of scenery from moment to moment, the inspiration, not the whole year round, you know, pull up in August,
Seasonal.
September, you know what I'm saying? Paris, we're gonna go shopping. We're gonna have an appointment. You know what I'm saying? And they're gonna have things that have been
Pulled.
curated for us. Exactly.
Looks are pulled.
Be like, Miss Brittany. Okay, one name show, Miss Brittany. We have curated these looks for you. Would you like to try them on? Oh, and you brought your revolutionary friend Danielle. Okay.
We've got a rack for her.
Okay, this is what we've curated for her. So
is
we can do
exciting.
that. Oh yeah, we're doing this.
I can't wait for
Yeah,
this. Can we just do
either.
this now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why not?
In efforts of like past, future, present, I think it's already happening. We just manifested it.
Brittany and Danielle are already in the dressing room right now.
Oh my
They're
God.
like looking in the mirror and they're showing each other looks. Girl, what do you think?
I love that top on you.
Yeah, exactly.
Get it in 3
Girl,
colors.
That skirt. Are you wearing that to the Met Gala this year?
I got something made for that, but
You're right.
Maybe the
Couture.
after party.
A one of one.
A one of one. I love it. I love that. I love manifesting with you. This is exciting.
Okay, we have to make this a regular thing. We're gonna do
Yes.
drunken future all the time.
All the time.
Okay.
Done.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
being on. I mean, from the moment we met in the green room at the Blog Her event, it was love at first sight.
It really was.
We like dropped right in. It was like no one else was in the room. Like we just started. I sat down and we were just like in it. We just dropped in. Your middle name is Danielle.
My middle name's Danielle.
You're an Aquarius, Cancer rising.
Same.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What else do we have
And
in
you had your
common?
mom there, and I loved that.
Oh, yeah.
I loved that about
You know
you.
she was here earlier, right?
I did it. I would have loved to
my
meet her again. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's
But yeah,
great.
my dad always says like attracts like. You just naturally are drawn to people who are cut of the same cloth, I think. So that I felt that with you. I was like, oh, I can tell that she's an evolution. So actually, I want to flip the script. I am a journalist, and it's hard for me to not ask questions. So I think when we met in that green room, I was first drawn to the fact that you said that you were evolving. You're like, I'm in transformation. I was super drawn to that. And just knowing over the last few months, I've seen you like dive into this new space.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Since 3000.
Yeah.
So I just want to know, like, first, how are you feeling about that? I want to know how you feel about the journey you've been on and where you're at.
Yes. All right, we flipping the script.
We're flipping it.
So it's interesting because I would say I felt a lot of anxiety around it. I have been the Danielle Leslie Course from Scratch course business for like 5 years. And this is the girl who used to come up with a new idea every week. So for me to be in this one lane for so long, entering a new space, anxiety inducing. Luckily, I put myself in, or I called them in. I don't know how we got here, but I had people in my life who have kind of, the scaffolding the buttressing of the building that is under construction. The people I called in became those buttresses for me. And like, they held me up. And they were like, so with this new collection, it's like since 3000, I mean, it means a lot to me because I have been on this journey of embodying the future me now, of like establishing this new relationship with time, because time is just a man-made construct, but more of like the space we're occupying, the fact that we have an eternal self, the fact that future Danielle and Brittany are already existing, in the fitting rooms of Paris. And so I think like when I thought about since 3000, it wasn't a place in the future. It was just a space where we could access our past, present, and future selves now. Because that's what I wish for myself. That's when I'm at, peace. And then moving into the NFT space, I didn't get it. For the first 8 months, I was like, what?
Girl,
like,
I still don't get it. I'm trying.
The only reason I did was the buttressing. Like the really close friend who was like sending me things. Finally, after 8 months, it clicked. And then like anything that clicks in my life, I was like, oh, we about to take over. Yes. So I am that person who is the creator, and then I think about ownership, and I'm like, how can I also create in this space and have like a piece of this, and then show others the way. So I think what I'm creating now is this like NFT collection. I want it to look like us. There hasn't been one that completely embodies us as Black women, that is by Black women. I want the artists, the 3D artists, to be Black women. They will be written into the contracts, the smart contracts, where they will be paid out in perpetuity for life for any future sales of that thing. I love this shift in art to where, you are an artist, you create a painting, it's sold in the gallery. Let's say you're at the beginning of your career and it's sold in the gallery for $5,000. And when that owner, who's the new owner of your art, holds on to that, they're able to resell it 5 years later. You're doing the work, you're building the equity, and they're benefiting off of it, and they can resell it for $100,000. And you don't, as the artist, necessarily get a piece of that. So the beautiful thing about this new space is we can write the artist into the contract and say, this was your baby, and you're gonna get paid for that $100,000 sale, $1 million sale for life, because you're going to continue building the brand equity. So I see that for us. Yeah. I also see bringing in non-crypto natives. So I look around in my friend circle and I'm like, people like you, people like all my friends, it's like, y'all are masters at your craft, at the top of your game. And there's this whole new space. And I'm like, we have the opportunity to come into the space, to invest in the space, to be a part of this community. And what I want to do is make a collection where the majority of the collectors are us, are Black women, break it down for us and create a community around it. Because my mission, when I think about Web 2, Web 3, people think about technology sometimes as abstracting us further away from ourselves. So if you think about Instagram, Web 2, Instagram, Facebook, these are platforms that are owned by Facebook. And then we come on and it's user-generated content. And I would think of IG in the earlier days as us putting on our best selves. So it's an abstraction from our essence, because it's like, oh, I'm going to posture. This is like the Renaissance painting version of me. which potentially pulls us further away from our essence. And I see this opportunity with Web3 to bring us closer to who we are. Doing a generative collection where we design different features, put them all together, it's a reminder that like we're all made of the same matter. And my question is, how can I help use Web3 as the opportunity for us to get closer to ourselves?
Yeah.
So with the collection,
What I hear in this is like, courses, that was about Danny. You built notoriety, fan base, wealth, and now it seems like with since 3000, you want to pay it forward. It's not just about you, it's like about building wealth for other people, building wealth in the Black community. Am I right with that? Like, it seems like it's a pay it forward moment almost.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because even with the course business, when I started, yes, it was about survival. And I was like, I'm going to share my gift and get paid for it. But actually, when I think about the course and we ask people, what was your biggest takeaway from Course from Scratch? I thought it would be the money. I thought they'd be like, I'm going to get into the money. Everybody mad. Like, I thought they'd be like financial independence. But the number one thing they say is self-acceptance. They reference the module on your culture ad. They say, I learned that my story is important and that it matters, and I learned how to tell my story. So actually, I think like the common thread of all the work I do and everything I've been interested in is around identity, because I know that with our knowledge of our identity, we can recreate whoever we want to be from moment to moment. And so with even a course business that, it tells people, oh, you can create a course and make money. But really when they get in there, the first lesson is, what is your story? Who are you? I'm going to help you retell your story in a way that's empowering. So it's interesting because even in that business, it was about giving people the tools to create their new reality and to reach and teach people no one else can, because they're like, I have had fibroids as a Black woman. I'm able to share with other Black women how to heal themselves naturally, so they don't have to have the surgery, so they don't have to get on the meds. And there were no other voices that look like me who can do that. So we have women like that, or I'm a co-parent, I'm a single mom, and I want to help other single moms do that. And I didn't realize this was a superpower of mine. I didn't realize like creating this healthy household was something that was actually an attribute that I can teach others and get paid for. So it's interesting because this is like kind of like just building on that. It's around identity.
What is your superpower and how are you using it in Since 3000?
Ooh. I would like to think that it is my ability to see myself and therefore see others. So I think a muscle I've been like really like pumping the iron on is self-awareness. I think every day I grow more and more self-aware, where I'm able to catch myself because I'm sitting in the observer seat and I can see what I'm doing and guess at why I'm doing it, have a conversation with myself, articulate it, and then say, okay, what's our path forward? How do we improve? So I think like being able to see myself has luckily led to understanding myself and then accepting myself, and less of shaming and judging myself. That's obviously always going to be a work in progress, but less of that. And so I think because I see myself, I see others. Like because I can see myself in my darkest moments and articulate it and see that there's a why, there's a reason. It's not just because I'm like a foul human being, but like there was a series of events that led to that. There was a psychology that was formed because of what happened at a certain age, because of parents, or like, the fourth grader in your class who said something bad about you, whatever. I think because the more I see myself, I'm able to see others and free others. I think my mission is to help others then see themselves, understand themselves, articulate it, and accept themselves. Yeah. And I think like with that, we can have a more like loving, compassionate, understanding world.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head. That's one of the things that drew me to you. I saw you, I was like, oh, she is herself. And it's hard to articulate that in the moment, but you're drawn to that. And I think just like seeing you embody Danny, even if you are transforming and changing, it's still like I can see who you are and you're so confident in that. And I know that's probably not every day. I know you're human. But doing that introspection and that self-awareness work, I think a lot of people are afraid to do that. So I think that is your superpower, is like you're not afraid to look inside and do that work. And then now we can see that all the beautiful things that come from that, and it inspires so many people. We had talked previously about my ancestry interest, and I love going back to learn about going forward, but you're already like, 1,000 years in the future. So what is so exciting about the future to you? And what do you learn about exploring the possibilities that are there?
Oh, wow. It's interesting because I've never even, I guess I haven't regarded it as the future. It's like I've always lived in the future. Exactly. I think it's part of it is an Aquarian thing.
Yeah.
But even as a kid, I remember now I have a language around it where I would do mental rehearsals. But at the time I was like, oh yeah, I would just like, think about my book report that I was gonna do in front of the class, Miss Briganti, 3rd grade. And, I'd be in my bedroom and I would like visualize myself doing it and how I was gonna say it. And it's like, that was future casting, that was mental rehearsal. And I think, as an adult, that just grew more and more, right? As like the realm of possibility grew. So I've always, and again, I guess that's my like funny relationship with time. I definitely have a very strange relationship with time.
Unique.
Yeah, okay, unique. We'll go with that. But but it's one of those things where it's like it has been very bountiful and then also maybe not in certain instances where I might have a long history in a relationship or something. And to me, 10 years might be regarded as the same as like 10 days. But that's why I say strange. And I think maybe that is me not even having regard for, time, but it's like I'm just living in this space, whatever the space is, and it's multidimensional, it's eternally
Multisensory. It really is. I mean, I think you can live in this 5-dimensional world where you just smell, touch, whatever, or you can allow yourself to participate in the things that are happening around you that you can't see or feel, but is there. And I think it's really special about you because I think we're in this moment where we are having a lot of progress happening really fast. And I think that scares a lot of people. You see a lot of people wanting to hold on to things, stay stuck, And then I look at you and like I said, you're just moving, going, and so progressive. So what does it look like for you when you slow down?
Ooh, I feel like I'm doing that now. So I didn't even have that as a potential before.
Right.
And I think a lot of that came from my mom and my dad, like they're both busybodies is what I call them, but they're always in motion, which I love. My dad is always present and getting the most out of the moment, wakes up at 5 a.m. every morning, and gets the day going, dances salsa, is lively, like anyone who meets them, it's like they know they're getting his fully just present self. And then my mom every day, it's like wakes up with, okay, this is what I'm going to do today. This is what I'm going to accomplish. And still doing went to a voiceover, conference in Atlanta because she's going to be a voiceover actor now. And, and is writing her book and like doing all these things. So I think growing up in that household, to me, there was no concept of like, quote unquote, slowing down. I saw life as just in motion. Your default state is motion. So it wasn't until now, I would say, where I learned the value of stillness and how that, spirit animal of the giraffe, taking that big step that seems slow, but there's so much happening in the stillness. So it's been a recent thing where I've like, quote unquote, learned how to slow down because I realized actually that's where the quantum leaps can happen. That's where you can really collapse time. Because when you're in the grind and you can get into okay, step 1, step 2, okay, what's next? And you can't necessarily, or it's more challenging to really think about, okay, what are the lessons and how can I actually leap over here? Or maybe this isn't right for me. Maybe it's not in total alignment of everything. Because one thing I'm learning is when I am fully in alignment, because I think I spent a lot of my life maybe doing things because I thought I was supposed to, because I'm addicted to achievement and whatever success is defined as. So I'm like, I'm gonna keep going even though this doesn't feel right. Even though like I'm tired, even though like I'm stressed, even though I have this funny feeling in my stomach, I'm gonna keep push, shaming myself for being tired. Now I think I had this like practice of being in pursuit of my pleasure. Asking myself, does this feel good to do now? Is this for me to do? So the slowing down is really the listening. It's like, is this for me? Does this feel good? And knowing that it's okay if it doesn't.
Yeah. Does it allow you to run this new business with just more peace, more balance? What does it do for you to have that stillness and then still be as ambitious and still chasing your dreams?
Yes. First, it allows me to enjoy it.
Yes.
Really like soak up every moment.
Yeah.
When reaching out to the designers, actually like spend time, diving into their work, like curating a message to them that speaks to their work, getting on the Zoom call, elevating them, edifying them. It's like me going on IG on my discovery page and like getting lost in like the designs and the fashion, me embodying, like my passion for fashion, and just like I'm embodying my vision board. Taking it from, this is my vision board that I have over here, to like, I'm going to actually embody it. What does the Since 3000 Danielle look like? What does she sound like? What is she doing? And so I think that's been a big shift, is like this whole process. It's been like enjoyable. And still like pushing myself sometimes outside of my comfort zone, because I know that that's where the growth happens. But those are more like short-lived, whereas before it was probably 80% uncomfortable, 20% of but like now it's like, okay, 20% uncomfortable, 80% of like, I can enjoy this. Like, this is amazing.
And do you think that's because you've run a business before and there's a lot of learnings, or just because you're at a different age now, you're at a different place, you're a different Danny?
Yeah, it's definitely all of that. I think, so my really good friend Tara and I talk about how entrepreneurship is really a study in self-actualization. When you run a business, you are faced with yourself in the mirror every single day. Any gaps in the business are usually a reflection of a gap within yourself. It took me a long time to realize that. So luckily, in conjunction with growing and running the business, I started doing the therapy. I had coaches that were in proximity to me who were able to say, hey, I think I see this habit that you are carrying forward. And another thing I did is I shifted my North Star. So my North Star used to be whatever was the business goal. So it used to be, okay, we got to hit 1 million. Right. Then it was, we got to hit 10 million. Then I asked myself, well, what would it look like to shift the North Star to having a 10-hour work week? What would it look like if I focused on that? Once I focused on that, in 3 months, I had a 10-hour work. And I went from like 50 hours a week to 10 hours a week in 3 months. All I had to do was shift.
Work smarter, not harder, right? I mean, it's a simple thing to say, but you have to really change your life. You really have to put it into action. And that's hard to do. A lot of people talk it, but you did it.
And now it's self-expression. So now my North Star is, how can I be my fully expressed self from moment to moment? And that's what guides me.
So I see you working, and I also see the crypto space exploding and NFTs, and like, Danny, I want to be a part of it so bad. Like, I'm researching, I bought some Bitcoin and some Ethereum.
Let's go.
I'm dipping a toe in it.
Okay.
But it's intimidating. It is intimidating, and I think a lot of people are intimidated and scared of it. But then I see you like forging ahead in it. So with Since 3000, how do I get to be a part of that? Like, is it for everyone? Like, what is the kind of audience you're going after?
Absolutely. So it was scary for me in the beginning. What got me, let me ask you a question. Yeah. What would you say is one piece of art, your favorite piece of art? And it could be a musical, a Broadway show, or like a painting, or a song, a book.
That's too many.
Film.
Stop giving me options. You should have said a movie or something, because now I'm like, okay.
Like a big piece of art that has like changed your life. Your favorite piece of
art. The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison.
Ooh,
yeah, I pick it up monthly and read passages of it and cry at the prose. It is beautiful, and I connect very deeply to the message. So yeah, Bluest Eye.
So that right there is what inspired me to get into NFTs. Okay. The art. I saw works of art that I identified with, that I saw myself in. And so I see Since 3000 as being that for you and for anyone else that's like, oh, I don't know about this space. But on the NFT side, it's, to me, the art, and it's the self-expression of people who look like me, who maybe have been overlooked before, who haven't had a stage, and for you to become a art collector. And I think like art collecting has been this like inaccessible, that's for the wealthy, that's for like Jay-Z, whatever.
No, Jay-Z changed that. He was like, go buy art. And I was like, okay.
Yes!
And I started buying art because Jay-Z told me to. So now I'm going to start buying NFTs because Danny told me to.
That's where, but that's like the switch, is like, yeah. I think that is what makes it exciting. And the thing about, I think, with physical art, when I think of buying a painting, it's a very independent solo experience. I buy this piece of art, I put it in my home, anyone who comes in my own home sees it, admires it, awesome. with NFTs, especially with a collection, Since 3000 is going to be a collection of 3,000 pieces. Where when you become a collector of Since 3000, you will be a part of the Since 3000 Genesis group. So you are now joining a group of 3,000 people who have shared values, who also see themselves in that art. And we're also, I said, my mission is to have Web3 bring us closer to ourselves. So I did a Since 3000 sip and paint for my birthday. Shout out to Helen who gifted it to me. And yes, so we're gonna do those for our collectors. I want all of our collectors to know each other because I have so many amazing people in my life and we don't get to traverse, we don't get to interact. And I wanna bring that experience here. So that's the difference. So when you're buying it, you're buying into this new like community this new
and
tribe.
collaboration. Yeah, that is beautiful. So it seems like, is this phase one of the business?
Absolutely.
So what does like phase 2, phase 3 look like? How much do you want to grow?
Yes. So what I see now, okay,
Tell me.
we're gonna have this collection. Shonda gonna peep it. Okay.
Okay.
We're talking about Shonda Rhimes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So Shonda is gonna see the collection. She's gonna be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
You guys seen this?
But really, I mean, my dream is for it to live on as many mediums as possible. So whether you're a collector or a consumer of a show, you know, a Netflix series that is the Since 3000 series. I had a vision for bringing, you know, writers here, doing an artist residency, sitting around the table and writing the stories of the cast of Since 3000 because they all represent us. They are like what we look like when we access our past, present, and future selves, when we like call on our ancestors, when we call on our future selves, because we already have the knowing. So in a world where we have society telling us we don't know shit, or we can't have it, or we're not good enough, we're not enough, we're like, no, like Since 3000 is the space where we can access that knowing. And so what would it look like to have a show with characters that showed that to us, that looked like us, that we could relate to? That would be like a part of the vision.
I'm excited for you. I'm proud of you. I'm inspired by you. I mean, it's really exciting to meet somebody who is, like I said, constantly going in, learning about themselves, and just trying to bring up other people around them. I mean, the future is this community collaboration thing. We're both touching on that with creating these spaces where we can be ourselves and where we can have these moments where we can unpack and grow together. I mean, I think that's such a powerful, beautiful thing that's come out of the last few years maybe, and I'm just excited to see where you go next. Thank you for letting me take over your podcast.
Oh my God,
by the
thank
way.
you for taking
Yes,
it over.
this is super
Hello.
fun.
Oh my God,
I
this
had
is
to
such
ask
an
you-
honor to be interviewed by Brittany before the Brittany show. Can I be on? Can I be on?
Girl,
Brittany?
you're like first week
Can I
episodes.
be on?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you.
You're a regular contributor. Whatever you want to do. We have a Since 3000 segment.
Ooh,
That feels
speak
good,
that.
though, to say. Yeah, I think we just manifested something
We
else.
did. Oh my God, I so appreciate you. You are
I do
so
too.
beautiful.
I do too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danny.
Listen, sometimes life be lifing, and we do not know what's coming down that road next. Well, that's what happened to me in 2016 when I was unexpectedly laid off from my job. And I was 6 figures in student loan debt. I had no savings, and I didn't know what was gonna happen next. Now, luckily, I had this little voice inside of me at that time that I couldn't ignore, and it was telling me to take the leap. It was saying, use this as your opportunity to build your business. Use this as your opportunity to create your dream life. And so I believe that life happens for us, not to us. And that nudge in my spirit, I should listen to it. Luckily, I did. Fast forward to today, I have a business that's made over $20 million, and I've helped over 10,000 people create their online businesses and their dream lives. So do you want to learn how to turn your story into an online product and launch in 30 days? Head on over to coursefromscratch.com/since3000. I want you to join us on this journey so you can listen to that little voice inside of you too. So go now, do yourself a favor, coursefromscratch.com/since3000.